The cry across the stars. The command center of the Nellarian flagship Harmonic Convergence had never been so silent. First Sentinel Vorin stood motionless, his translucent skin paler than usual as he stared at the holographic display. One by one, the green markers representing their outer settlements turned amber, then red, and finally black, erased completely. Each transition represented millions of lives lost. "How many vessels remain in our defense fleet?" Vorin asked, his resonant voice barely audible. Second Sentinel Ilera consulted her console, the bioluminescent markings on her arms dimming with stress. 23 operational ships, First Sentinel. The Morkari have destroyed nearly 60% of our forces in just 4 orbital cycles. Vorin's 4 eyes closed briefly in mourning. The Nellarian Concordants had known peace for millennia. Their species had evolved on temperate worlds with gentle gravity and minimal environmental challenges. They had built their civilization on art, scientific discovery, and diplomatic exchange. Their vessels were primarily research and exploration ships, hastily retrofitted with defensive capabilities only after the Morkari appeared at the edges of their territory. "The evacuation transports from the Kyralian colony?" Vorin asked, though he already feared the answer. "None penetrated the blockade," Ilera confirmed, her voice breaking. Vorin's slender fingers tightened around the edge of the command console. "Then we have no choice." He turned to his communications specialist, a young Nellarian named Thalos. "Prepare the emergency beacon, broadcast on all frequencies." Thalos's eyes widened in alarm. First Sentinel, a general distress call would reach even the forbidden zones. "I am aware," Vorin responded, straightening his posture. "But if we don't receive assistance soon, the Nellarian people will cease to exist. Send it." Thalos worked quickly, programming the automated distress call, a message that would repeat endlessly, traveling faster than light to every corner of the galaxy. "Beacon ready, First Sentinel." Vorin drew a deep breath, broadcast. 17 light-years away, at the boundary of what the galactic community called restricted space, the signal reached the long-range sensors of Earth's orbital defense station Sentinel-1. Lieutenant Naomi Chen was halfway through her monitoring shift when the alert sounded. She adjusted her headset and frowned at the peculiar pattern on her screen. "Captain Donovan, I'm detecting an unusual signal. Definitely artificial, but not matching any known human transmission protocol." Captain Marcus Donovan moved to her station, his expression reflected in the orange glow of the monitor. "Source." "The Procyon sector," Naomi tapped several commands. "It's repeating some kind of automated message." Donovan's expression hardened. "Run it through the xenolinguistic matrix." Naomi nodded, transferring the signal to the quantum computers beneath Earth's surface. Humanity had been intercepting alien communications for decades, building translation algorithms despite never having direct contact. The computer worked for several minutes before text began scrolling across her screen. "Sir," Naomi said quietly, "it's a distress call." Donovan read the translated message, then reached for the communication panel. "Get me Fleet Admiral Takamoto immediately." Admiral Hiroshi Takamoto stood at the head of the polished table in Sentinel-1's main conference room. The projected star map showed the location of the signal's origin. The room buzzed with urgent conversations between the 15 members of Earth's Defense Council. "This could be our chance," said General Rivera. "First contact on our terms." "Or a trap," countered Admiral Joe. "Why would they suddenly call for help when they've been avoiding us for centuries?" Takamoto studied the signal analysis. "Because they're desperate, the translation is clear they're facing extinction." "Not our problem," said Director Quame of Intelligence. "The galactic community made that clear when they quarantined our system and labeled us Deathworlders." Commander Indira Patel spoke up from her seat. As captain of Earth's most advanced warship, the Indomitable, her opinion carried significant weight. "With respect," she said, "that's precisely why we should respond. They see us as dangerous because we evolved on a high-gravity planet with extreme weather and apex predators. But those same adaptations make us uniquely qualified to help." Takamoto nodded slowly. "The question isn't whether we can help, it's whether we should." The room fell silent as all eyes turned to the United Earth government representative. "Humanity has dreamed of reaching the stars for generations," she said finally. "Now our first contact with alien life is a cry for help. How we respond will define us to the galaxy." She looked at Takamoto. Prepare a response fleet, we're going. Takamoto straightened. Yes, Madam Secretary. He turned to Commander Patel. Get the Indomitable ready, you'll lead the expedition. As the meeting disbanded, Takamoto looked once more at the alien distress signal pulsing on the screen. Somewhere out there, a peaceful species was fighting for survival. They had called for help from anyone who would listen. They were about to meet the Deathworlders. The massive hangar of Sentinel-1 buzzed with activity as dawn broke over Earth below. Crews worked tirelessly, loading supplies and weapons onto transport ships bound for the 5 warships chosen for the mission. Commander Indira Patel walked along the gleaming hull of the Indomitable. Her ship's silver-gray surface reflected the hangar lights. At 800 meters long, the battle cruiser was humanity's most advanced warship, built for deep space operations far from support. "Commander on deck," called her executive officer, Lieutenant Commander Jackson, as she approached the loading ramp. "At ease," Indira said. "Status report." "Supplies at 92%, weapons systems fully operational, and crew at 100% readiness," Jackson replied, handing her a tablet. "We're ahead of schedule." Indira nodded, scanning the report. "And the Marine contingent?" "Major Okoro has them running final drills in the combat simulator. They're adapting the training scenarios based on what little we know about the Morkari." "Which isn't nearly enough," a voice called from behind them. Indira turned to see Dr. Keiko Nakamura, the fleet's xenobiologist, approaching with a concerned expression. Her uniform was wrinkled, suggesting she'd worked through the night. "Walk with me," Indira said, gesturing toward her ship. Once inside the quiet corridor, Keiko spoke in a low voice. "I've been analyzing the transmissions we've intercepted over the past year. The Nelarians and other species have a name for humans, the Forbidden Ones, and they call Earth a death world." "We knew that much," Indira replied. "Yes, but I discovered why." Keiko handed her a data tablet. "According to their classification system, Earth has gravity 35% stronger than standard habitable planets, atmospheric oxygen levels they consider toxic, and temperature variations they find extreme. Not to mention our bacteria, viruses, and predator species." Indira studied the data, "so we're monsters to them just by existing." "It gets worse," Keiko said. "The attacking force, these Morkari, they're predatory but evolved on a world with only 1/8 of Earth's gravity. They rely on exoskeletons and technology to compensate." Indira stopped walking. "You're saying both sides of this conflict are physically weaker than humans?" "Significantly, the Nelarians evolved as peaceful filter feeders on gentle worlds. The Morkari are predators but would be crushed by Earth's gravity without their support suits." A slow smile spread across Indira's face. "Thank you, Doctor, this changes our approach." 2 hours later, the Earth Defense Council reconvened for a final briefing before launch. Admiral Takamoto displayed the latest intelligence on the main screen. "The response fleet will consist of 5 ships," he explained. "The Indomitable will lead, with the cruisers Defiance, Resolution, and Guardian providing support. The medical vessel Mercy will handle evacuation and relief operations." General Rivera frowned. "Only 5 ships, the Morkari reportedly have dozens." "Quality over quantity," Indira replied. "Based on new intelligence, we believe our ships and personnel can withstand conditions that would cripple both sides in this conflict." Dr. Nakamura stepped forward. "The aliens were dealing with evolved on worlds with lower gravity, milder climates, and fewer pathogens. Humans are naturally adapted to conditions they find extreme." "In other words," said Captain Hernandez of the Defiance, "we're the monsters under their beds." "Not monsters," Takamoto corrected. "Potential saviors, but we need to understand how we'll be perceived." Indira addressed the room. "When we arrive, we'll face beings who fear us simply because of where we evolved, but that fear can work in our favor if used properly." The UEG secretary stood. "This mission has 3 objectives: establish first contact, protect the Nelarians from genocide, and secure humanity's place in the galactic community. The manner in which you accomplish these goals is up to you, Commander Patel." Indira nodded. "We'll be ready to launch in 1 hour." As the meeting ended, Indira found herself standing beside Dr. Nakamura at the observation window. Below them, Earth rotated slowly, blue oceans and green continents shimmering in sunlight. "Strange, isn't it?" Keiko said quietly. "The world that made us so tough is beautiful from up here." Indira watched as the first rays of dawn spread across Asia. Let's hope we remember that when we're out there, being strong doesn't mean we can't also be kind. An hour later, the 5 ships of humanity's first contact fleet rose from Earth orbit, accelerating toward the jump point that would take them to answer an alien cry for help. Deathworlders to the rescue. The 5 ships of Earth's response fleet moved through the darkness of jump space, a swirling tunnel of blue-black energy that allowed them to travel faster than light. Inside the Indomitable's bridge, Commander Indira Patel watched the ship's chronometer count down the remaining travel time. 3 days until we reach Nalarian space, she said. How are the crew holding up? Lieutenant Fujita, her tactical officer, looked up from his console. Morale is high, Commander. Everyone understands what's at stake. Indira nodded and turned to the tactical display where Major Okoro was running combat simulations. The Marine commander's face was focused as he moved virtual troops across a battlefield. Any insights, Major? Indira asked. Okoro gestured to the display. Based on what we know about the Morkari, they rely heavily on technology to compensate for their physical limitations. Their battle tactics are rigid, designed around their exoskeletons and support systems. And how do we counter that? Okoro smiled. Unpredictability. Humans are naturally adaptable. We can function in environments that would shut down their systems. Plus, we've simulated combat in the lower gravity we'll encounter. Our Marines can move 4 times faster than on Earth. Good, Indira said. Keep running the drills. She left the bridge and made her way to engineering, where Lieutenant Commander Raj Varma was working with his team on the ship's weapon systems. Commander, Raj greeted her, wiping sweat from his forehead. At just 34, he was considered the best weapons engineer in the fleet. We've made some adjustments based on the alien technology data. He pointed to a disassembled rail gun. We've calibrated our weapons for precision rather than raw power. The Morkari ships have excellent shields but poor structural integrity. One well-placed shot could disable a ship twice our size. Will it be enough? Indira asked. We're still outnumbered. Numbers aren't everything, Raj said with confidence. Their ships are designed for fights against similar opponents. We're something new entirely. In the medical bay, Dr. Nakamura carefully studied tissue samples under a microscope. The ship's AI had created synthetic versions of Nalarian and Morkari biology based on the limited data available. Fascinating, she muttered as Indira entered. What have you found? Indira asked. Keiko looked up. The Nalarians have almost no immune system. Their home planets have so few pathogens that they never evolved one. And the Morkaris? She pointed to another slide. Their cellular structure would collapse under Earth's gravity. They'd literally be crushed by their own weight. Is that useful to us? Keiko nodded. Very. I'm developing non-lethal countermeasures based on this. We could potentially incapacitate Morkari troops with simple Earth bacteria that are harmless to humans. Perfect, Indira said. We want to stop them, not commit genocide. In the ship's mess hall, Indira found communications specialist Dakshi Prasad surrounded by audio equipment. The young expert had been working non-stop trying to decode more of the Nalarian language. Any progress? She asked, sitting across from him. Dakshi played a series of sounds. Their language is based on harmonic patterns rather than distinct words. I've managed to identify basic greetings and emergency commands. He handed her a small device. This translator should allow basic communication. Good work, Indira said. Keep at it. As she left the mess hall, the ship's alarm sounded briefly. Indira tapped her comm unit. Bridge report. Commander, came the response. We're detecting unusual energy readings from jump space. Something's following us. Indira hurried back to the bridge. The main screen showed swirling patterns of jump space with a faint distortion trailing behind their fleet. Analysis, she demanded. Lieutenant Fujita looked up with concern. Unknown ship signature, but it's definitely tracking us, and it's faster than anything in our database. Alert the fleet, Indira ordered. Battle stations, prepare to exit jump space if necessary. As the crew rushed to their positions, Indira stared at the screen. They were still days away from Nalarian space, but it seemed the war might find them first. Identify yourself, she broadcast into the void. This is Commander Indira Patel of the Earth vessel Indomitable. There was no response, but the distortion grew larger. Weapons ready, she ordered quietly. Let's see who's come to meet the Deathworlders. The mysterious distortion in jump space vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. After 24 hours, Commander Patel finally ordered the crew to stand down from battle stations. Whatever it was, it's gone now, she told her officers. Or hiding, either way we continue as planned. 3 days later, the human fleet emerged from jump space into the Nellarian system. The scene that greeted them made even veteran officers pause. The space around Neller Prime, the main Nellarian homeworld, was a graveyard of broken ships. Orbital stations lay in ruins, debris forming rings around the blue-green planet. Through this destruction, Morkari warships moved methodically, their black hulls absorbing starlight. Tactical assessment, Indira ordered. 32 Morkari warships in orbit, replied Lieutenant Fujita. 4 Nellarian vessels still fighting but heavily damaged. Planetary defense systems offline. Ground-based sensors detect heavy fighting in the main population centers. Indira straightened her uniform. Open a channel to all ships in the system. Channel open, commanders. This is Commander Indira Patel of the Earth vessel Indomitable. We have responded to the Nellarian distress call and offer assistance. All hostilities should cease immediately. For a long moment there was silence, then 2 responses came almost simultaneously. First, a visual transmission from a Nellarian ship. The commander appeared thin and exhausted, his translucent skin pale and his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. Earth vessel, the Forbidden Ones have come, his voice trembled. We did not believe, did not expect. Before Indira could respond, a second transmission cut in. A Morkari commander appeared on screen, his rigid exoskeleton gleaming with embedded technology. His voice was harsh and mechanical through the translator. Unidentified vessels, this conflict is not your concern. Leave this system immediately or be destroyed. Indira smiled thinly. We're not leaving, and this is now our concern. We've responded to a legal distress call under Galactic Convention. The Morkari commander's mechanical eyes narrowed. You have been warned. Your primitive vessels are no match for our armada. The transmission cut off. Immediately, 12 Morkari warships broke from their positions and moved toward the human fleet, their weapons charging. Shields at maximum, Indira ordered. Target their lead vessels. Precision strikes as Engineer Varma recommended. The space between the fleets lit up as the Morkari ships fired first, energy beams cutting across the darkness. The Indomitable shuddered as multiple impacts hit its shields. Shields holding at 85%, reported the tactical officer with surprise. Those hits would have crippled most ships according to our data. Return fire, Indira commanded. Show them what Deathworlders can do. The Indomitable's main guns fired, the specialized rail cannons launching projectiles at a fraction of light speed. The first shot struck a Morkari cruiser precisely where Raj Varma had calculated its structural weakness would be. The alien ship didn't just take damage, it split completely in half, secondary explosions rippling through both sections. Direct hit, Fujita reported as the bridge crew stared in amazement. Enemy vessel destroyed. The human fleet moved forward, firing with precision while the Morkari responded with increasingly desperate salvos. Commander, came a call from communications. The Nellarian commander is hailing us again. The translucent alien appeared on screen, his expression one of shock. How are your ships withstanding their weapons? We lost 20 vessels to those same attackers. We're built differently, Indira replied simply. Can your remaining ships still fight? Oh yes, but... Then follow our lead, target the coordinates we're sending you, focus your remaining firepower there. As the battle intensified, Indira ordered a tactical maneuver no alien ship could perform, diving toward the planet's atmosphere, using its gravity well to accelerate the Indomitable in a slingshot movement that brought it behind 3 Morkari destroyers. Fire all port-side batteries, she ordered. The results were devastating. 2 enemy ships exploded immediately, while the third spun helplessly, its propulsion system destroyed. Commander, called communications specialist Prasad, I'm picking up transmissions from the surface. The Nellarian ground forces are being overrun in the southern continent. Indira nodded. Inform Major Akoro to prepare his marines for immediate drop. The Indomitable will create a gap in their blockade. She turned to the view screen, watching as the Morkari fleet regrouped. For the first time in this war, the attackers seemed uncertain, Indira said quietly. Let's make sure they remember this day. Major Victor Okoro felt the drop pod shake violently as it entered Neller Prime's atmosphere. Around him, 30 Marines in combat armor checked their weapons one last time. Remember, he told them through the comm system, lower gravity means higher jumps. Adjust your movements accordingly. The pod's interior glowed red as the heat of entry surrounded them. Then came a series of jolts as the braking thrusters fired, and finally the hard impact of landing. Go, 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 Victor shouted as the doors blew outward. The Marines rushed onto alien soil, spreading out in practiced formation. Victor felt immediately lighter, as if invisible hands were lifting him. Each step carried him 3 times as far as it would on Earth. The landing zone was a wide plaza surrounded by crystalline structures, many now damaged by weapon fire. In the distance, explosions lit up the twilight sky. Lieutenant Diaz, secure the perimeter, Victor ordered. Sergeant Wu, get me a tactical overlay of our position. A blue holographic map appeared from Wu's wrist device, showing their location and known enemy positions. Red dots representing Morkari forces were converging on a large structure 1 kilometer away. That's the Nalarian Central Refuge, Wu explained. According to their transmissions, they're making their last stand there. Victor nodded, then that's where we're going, double time, people. The Marine platoon moved through the alien city with speed that would have been impossible on Earth. They bounded over debris and damaged vehicles, covering ground rapidly.